Hi everyone, it's Michaela. I'm back with another video for you today. Today, instead of talking about home fragrance, we are going to be talking about kind of my weight loss journey. Um, so pretty much most of my life I have been overweight. So I mean, as a kid, I was okay. But once I got into high school and things like that, I was not like super overweight, super chubby, but I was definitely overweight. I was definitely one of the bigger girls. I was never one of the really tiny, cute ones. I'm 5'2", and so being short always makes, any little bit of weight just look that much worse. So, when I married my husband, I was 18 when we got married, and I would probably weighed around 145, 150. And so not super bad, but still kind of bigger than what I probably should have been at that age and that height. Um, sorry. So I struggled off and on throughout our marriage with my weight, especially getting pregnant and having babies. And we have 6 kids, and so there was a lot of the times where I got pregnant and then I just didn't quite lose all the weight. So with my first, I lost most of the weight, but then I ended up having half of my thyroid removed. I had a hyperactive thyroid, and so they removed half of it. And ever since then, my thyroid levels have been normal, but it's definitely made the weight loss harder, especially when it's combined with the fact that I never was really the best at healthy eating, and really never exercised. So when I got pregnant with my other kids, I would put on 30 to 35 pounds, but then I wouldn't lose all the weight afterwards. And there was, various different reasons or maybe excuses as to why. And I did try a few things throughout the years. I tried this one diet plan that was really restrictive, and like it outlined everything that you were supposed to eat, and you could only eat these certain things. And I didn't last long at all on that one. In between my third and fourth child, I actually just did kind of the counting calories thing, and I lost weight then. So I probably went from around the 190 range down to the 178 or something like that. And so that was definitely the most weight that I had lost, in all the previous years to that of trying to lose weight and having babies and things. And quite honestly, there was a lot of the times where I just didn't care, and I was a young mom with babies and just trying to survive day to day, and really I just put my own health on the background. After my last child, I was more determined to lose weight. I knew that he was our last, and so I really wanted to focus on losing the weight. So I started walking a lot more again, which walking I think always helps and is a great tool to use in regards to weight loss. And I was talking to other people about it, and there were some other moms that were doing phentermine. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to talk to my doctor about that. I'm going to try that. It's going to be this magic pill that's just going to fix everything. Because when you have been struggling with weight your whole life, you want this magic pill, this magic solution that's just going to make it all better or make it easy. I think that for me personally, I got into this mindset that I am never going to lose the weight. Or if I do lose the weight, it's all just going to come back. So I did the phentermine. It helped me to lose some weight. I got down to 187. Sorry, I have notes. I got down to like 187 in 2016. I ended up having a hysterectomy, and that really just kind of halted my progress. And so even though before then I had started exercising more so than just walking, I was doing, different exercises and stuff as well. Not at the gym, just at home, like some YouTube videos and HIIT exercises and things. And after my surgery, I just had such a hard time recovering that I just got out of that habit again. And I think that's so easy for some of us to do, to really get out of these habits that we're trying so hard to change. But then one thing like that can just really knock you out of it and makes it so difficult to come back and to continue making progress. So we had a lot of different life changes. I ended up going back to college. And then at the same time, we ended up deciding to move our family from Idaho to Texas. And so all kinds of changes. We moved to Texas and I slowly started putting on more and more weight. Up until that point, I think the highest weight I had been was like 217 after the birth of my last child. And I had gotten down into like the 190 range pretty consistently. But when we moved to Texas, I think it was the combination of just the stress of switching everything, because we had to switch everyone's schools. I had to switch my schools. My husband started a new job, combined with, hey, we want to go on a date, so we're going to go out to this place and out to this restaurant, and let's try this restaurant. And if you've ever been to Texas, they have some really amazing Mexican food. And Mexican food is really one of my weaknesses. I love Mexican food. I could eat it every single day, 3 meals a day. I mean, there's breakfast tacos. There's it's easy. You can eat breakfast 3 times a day. I mean, not breakfast, sorry. You can eat Mexican food, or I can, 3 times a day. It's my weakness. So we went out and we tried all these different places, and we had a lot of things we really enjoyed. And so the weight just continued to creep up, and it was slow enough that I didn't really notice it. I mean, I did notice that I had to buy some bigger clothes, and then I worked at one job for a while, and then I got a different job that was a full-time job, and then I had to buy some new clothes for that one. And I did notice, yeah, I had to buy some bigger sizes again. So then I just really wasn't happy at my new job. It was really hard going from being a stay-at-home mom all the time to working full-time, and my youngest still wasn't in school. And so I do think that there was a definite combination of stress, depression, unhappiness that led to even more unhealthy food choices. And because I was working and then I was still trying to go to school at the same time and still trying to be mom and all these things, I couldn't juggle all of it. And so we ended up doing out to eat almost every single night because I just couldn't keep up. It was too much. It was very overwhelming. So then I resigned from that job to go and do substituting at the schools. That way I could have a little bit more time, especially to focus on my schooling. Well, that was right when COVID started and kind of the whole world shut down. So fast forward to July of 2020, I was miserable. I was extremely overweight. I was getting to the point where I was just noticing there was just some things I couldn't do very easily anymore. And I even more so started noticing that some of my kids were starting to follow in my footsteps a little bit. And, combined with some other things, I really had a wake-up call of I have to get my health under control. I have to get my weight under control, and I have to start taking care of my body. And like I said earlier, you get into this cycle, this mindset where you feel that this is impossible, where you see, yeah, everyone else can do it, but it's not going to work for me. So my highest weight in July of 2020 was 236 pounds, which was significantly higher than I weighed when I gave birth to my last child. So the first thing that I really started was I just started counting calories. I was in a couple of weight loss groups on Facebook, and that was the thing that kept on coming back is you have to pay attention to what you're eating. And so it worked at first. And then I was reading some different things that really talked about intermittent fasting. So I thought, I'm really going to give that a try. It makes sense. I read the obesity code and I was like, yeah, this totally makes sense that we're doing things to our bodies that maybe they were never really designed to do. So I started with intermittent fasting, but in a lot of the intermittent fasting groups that I was in, combined with some of the information in the books that I read, I got the impression that it didn't matter what I ate, all that mattered was when I ate, which, yes, the when was important because that's what the fasting is. But I think that for me, it's also the what. And I think there's a lot of people in the world that it's also the what. And maybe it's those of us that don't necessarily do like the binge eating or the things like that, but those of us that choose, higher calorie foods or things that aren't quite as good for us, like nachos or things like that, So it worked, but it worked very slowly. And I had a lot of times where I felt very deprived, not because I couldn't eat what I wanted, but I couldn't eat when I wanted. So we, as a family, we like to cook breakfast on the weekends together and have breakfast together. And I could no longer participate in that because my eating hour was only from 2 to 4. I mean, not 2 to 4, 2 to 6. And so there's a lot of times where I felt like I couldn't do things with my family and I couldn't eat things with my family. And it just started feeling like a chore. I wasn't really hungry during the times I was fasting. I was enjoying the things that I was eating the rest of the time. It was the mental aspect of you can't do this right now and you can't. I felt like I couldn't be with my family. So I don't have the weights from August, September, and October because I was using, I don't remember what I was using to keep track of those, so I don't have those. But in November, so I had gone from 236 pounds in July to November, I was 217. So I wasn't losing weight at the pace that other people who did fasting were seeming to lose weight. December, I went down to 213. And then in January, I was down to 206. So I was losing weight. It was very, very slow. And to go from July to January, 6 months, and to only lose 30 pounds, I mean, that's really not very much weight, in my opinion, especially when I started out at such a higher weight. Normally, it seems like people lose a lot of weight at first, and then the closer and lower they get, the more it slows down. So between January and February, I did not lose any weight. I stayed right the same, 206. And then it was about that time that I had a horrible stomach pain one night. My husband took me to the emergency room and it was my gallbladder. And so I ended up having to have surgery and to remove my gallbladder. But up until then, I had to do a low fat diet. And so I started doing a low fat diet and I started losing weight again. So in March before my surgery, or right around my surgery, I weighed 199 pounds. And that was my first time being under 200 since probably 2016. So I had my surgery and I really kind of just fell off the wagon for a while. I ended up with an infection after surgery and they tried all different medications. One of them made me really sick. And so I took a long time for me to get going again on my weight loss. And I think a big part of it too was I was no longer convinced that intermittent fasting was the right thing for me. And so I was really trying to decide going forward what I wanted to do. So starting in June, I had gone back up to 201 pounds. And so it was at that point where I started to think about counting calories instead of doing the intermittent fasting. And I think a big part of weight loss, at least from what I am learning, is that you have to find something that actually works for you, not something that works for everybody else. And even though my weight loss has been slow, it's been really important for me to learn as a process. So I think that sometimes, it's really easy to get discouraged with weight loss, especially if you see other people that are losing weight very quickly. And I think my biggest advice with that is you really have to find what's going to work and be sustainable for you long term. Like, I'm sure that if I would have done something like keto and cut out all the carbs and everything like that, that I probably would have already been down to my weight loss goal. But I know for me, that's not sustainable. There's not a lot of Mexican food that is low carb friendly. And so I personally had to take a journey of finding myself, finding what works for me. And that was, I think, one of the biggest eye openers for me. And during this first year, so from July of 2020 to July of 2021, I went from 236 pounds to 193.4. The last month I lost, between June and July, I had lost from 201 to 193.4, and that was with counting calories. The rest of it was pretty much with the intermittent fasting. So in 1 year, I lost, what was it? So just over 40 pounds. And then that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to do something new. I'm going to try something new, and I'm going to see how it works for me. So if you're still with me, I'm going to stop this one, and I'm going to do a part 2 of what I've been doing since July and how it's working for me and what I plan to continue to do along with what my current weight is. So if you watch this, thank you for watching. I think that, it's so important for us to support each other through our different journeys, and we each are at a different spot and we each have different things we're struggling with. And that's why I want to share these things with you, in the hopes that maybe something that I've learned along the way can be useful for you. So I hope that your day is going well, and I'll see you in the next video.